Hey everybody, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review. So sit back and enjoy.
Captain Frugal, telling the truth. Strumming chords, uncovering groove. Comic panels, game reviews. Rocking riffs and six-string blues. What's the verdict is it rad? Did it crash? Is it bad?
Alright everybody, for those of you that know the drill, I go over a bunch of comic books for the week that I chose to read. Now I didn't have time to read everything, so if I missed something you think I should have read, let me know in the comments below. Also, you may disagree with me on some of my choices. If that's the case, that's alright. Let me know below. Let's just try to keep it civil. My goal is to bring back the old schoolyard days, where we would be in discussing what hero could beat who or what comic book was good and not. And I come armed with my trusty notes, so you'll hear the paper rattle because I do it a little bit old school. I do my grading on a scale of 0 through 10, 7 being average as a 70%. So I'm using schoolyard grading. But that's not all. I also use the League of Comics Geeks to give you other people's views as well as a brief overview of the comic book as well. So let's jump right in. Welcome back everybody to the virtual comic shop. I just want to say I know there's been a lot of rough things going on this week. So hopefully you find that this is sort of a break from that, though I will be honest and upfront with you. We are going to talk about a little bit here because we have to, due to the, at least I feel we should, due to the connections and things that have been going on. But I hope here, and that's one of the things I love about the group we have here of wonderful people, is we can have discussions about comic books and different opinions and feelings and things like that, and still remember that we're all fellow humans. We could find more that we agree on than what we disagree on, and we could have things that we do disagree on without hating each other, and hopefully we can build that. It seems like that's the way the comic book community used to be. Oh, the Hulk can't beat this guy, or the Thing should be able to beat him, but we don't hate each other at the end of the day. Differences are okay, even if we don't agree. So with that said, let's jump into our comic book review with the very first one, Red Hood #1. No, I am refusing to read this book, so that's why one of the reasons I gave that preface. If you don't know about it, the author was complete scumbag, Gretchen Felker Martin, and this guy, how do I put this? I'm sorry, but if you disagree with somebody, doesn't mean you should want them dead. Okay, I know a lot of people disagree with things with me, and I wish them the best on everything. It's a shame too, because this book had some interesting covers for it, but I will tell you, I think it got review bombed because on League of Comics Geeks, it has 946 rating with a 2.5, mostly negative. I'm sorry, but there's no way I think that many people bought this comic book. That's above current Batman numbers of sales. So people are coming on here just to crap on the book. Now, don't get me wrong, with the way this writer is, the book is probably crap anyway. But with that said, I refuse to support this. I'm not into cancel culture, but when somebody's wishing death upon people, I'm sorry, I don't really want to support you. And sorry, we disagree. If you don't think cops are humans too and things like that, maybe the issues are on you. So I'm refusing to read that, but the series has already been canceled. The rest won't be coming out. And, that's a shame because I like Red Hood as a character, and I would love to have a good Red Hood series. So maybe this will have a benefit and turn into that later on. Maybe DC will learn. The next one I want to talk about is Captain America issue #3 with 665 ratings, a 4.4 score. That surprises me. That's quite a lot of ratings for Captain America, which is meaning that people are into this book, which is surprising to me because I gave the book a 7.5. I think they like it more than I do. We have here the creators, if you will, the writers Chip Zdarsky, artist is Varelo Shiti. Anyway, we have this whole Doom Laviteria thing going on still with Secret Wars. And Cap gets confronted by Dr. Doom, or a Doom bot, if you will. And they're sort of sharing viewpoints here, And Cap's thinking he's stalling to get something done, but finds out that Doom actually knows about all this, and, well, he has the upper hand too as well. So, which makes sense because it's Doctor Doom. It's an interesting cover. It's decent art. I'm not a fan of this new suit of Captain America's, though. I'm also not a big fan of diluting characters, having multiple people with the same kind of name running around. As you see here, we're going to continue to get more Super Soldier Captain America types, but for different areas and all that, as well as in the U.S. itself, too. So anyway, Doom's trying to sway Captain America to his views, and Captain America is questioning his role because he's a man out of time. And as I said, I'm not a big fan of this whole switch of what's going on in Captain America, you know, and how they changed the story of what's going on. It's sort of like a side route, a different universe, but it is interesting. And so a lot of the people here, I'm seeing a lot of good responses on League of Comics Geeks. So I'm going to start with reading bits of some. I'm going to start reading a bit of a 5-star review. It says, wow, this was really dark. Zdarsky is not pulling any punches, and I'm here for it. This is the quality I knew he'd provide for a Captain America story, and I'm loving the series. I love Doom's conversation with Cap. It's great to see them talk, and I'm a big fan of how Doom admires and respects Cap. So I'm going to stop there on that one and go to another one here. I'm looking for one that's lower, and here's a 3-star. Didn't enjoy it as much as the first two. Lots of narrative boxes of Steve's diary / inner monologue while jumping between his story and Colton's story. Okay, I get that, but I guess I'm an older reader and I like those inner dialogue things to see where the character's perspective is. Maybe they felt it made it too slow. And it said here, from that same person, made it difficult to pinpoint what I should be focused on. Okay, and I think that has to do with page layout and, you know, what following the story. I like Colton's Afghanistan story was as much as one could like an Afghan war story, because it was actually quite tragic, because it gives us a sense of why someone in our era might choose to be a Captain America. I think Steve fans may be happy with a revelation he has about himself being a man out of time who doesn't understand the wars of today. And I think that's where the real meat of this story is how does he fit in? Is he on the right side? Now, readers from longtime readers of Captain America will know this is nothing new. We've had that before with Captain America stories, but maybe a lot of the people that are more current haven't had that experience. So we'll see where this book is gonna go. It should be interesting. Are you reading Captain America? It looks like a lot of people are. The next book I want to talk about is Red Hulk issue number 8. 73 ratings, 3.9 score, mostly positive. I gave the book a 7.2, so I think it's one of the weaker ones of this series at this time. The writer's Benjamin Percy, artist is Jeff Shaw. And anyway, we have the team gets back together again. Yep. Sergeant Bowden decides to help the Red Hulks. He sees through what's going on. The group with Machine Man and Deathlock and Hulk are reunited. Can the team survive? Well, by the way, that Bowden is also known as Wild Streak. So just so you know, they escape Project Alpha, and they're going to try to expose everything. So we have good banter, though, between Deathlock and Machine Man. I think, actually, that's the best part of this series is Deathlock and Machine Man and how they get along. And their banter. It's interesting art, too, as well. Though I do think the numbers are starting to sink on this book, so maybe they need to do something to punch it up a little more. And speaking about punching things up, let's talk about Transformers, issue 24. 481 ratings, 4.7 score. Exceptional. And I gave the book an 8 because, wow. Good book. Writers Jared Warren Johnson, artist is George Corona. First of all, let's talk about the standard cover. Pretty awesome. There's some alternate covers as well. All pretty awesome. Except for maybe one was a little bland with just Optimus Prime in his truck form. But otherwise, the regular cover is really cool. We got Prime standing above Megatron. But boy, woo, this has got some shocking hits in this book. First of all, that cover is just, if that doesn't make you want to pull it off the shelf if you're a Transformers fan, I don't know what will. This issue starts off great, too, with the fight between Optimus Prime and Megatron. It just wants you to crank on that 80s music. You've got to touch. You know what I'm talking about. Starscream also has a moment of clarity. But that moment of clarity cost him. He pays a vicious price for his moment of clarity. This goes back to a previous issue, several issues ago, where we get some insight into him and his character. We also get a glimmer of hope with the Matrix starting to work again. But I'm going to tell you, this is a brutal issue. It holds back, no punches. And I'm looking at the League of Comics Geek scores, and boy, people are loving it. So since I've given it such a wonderful constant saying good, I'm trying to find something that runs counter. And here we go, a 3-star review. Something that runs counter to all this praise I've been giving it. End to my first Transformers comic run ever. Haven't really had any exposure to Transformers aside from the first 2 Transformers mid-2000s movies. And I gotta say, this was fine. I could barely differentiate between the characters because it felt like every character had a twin that looked exactly like them, but ever so slightly different. Really weird stuff. Okay, so this person's coming from a fresh perspective. They don't really know the Transformers, and maybe the art could have been maybe better. I don't know, maybe they felt like Prime and Ultra Magnus looked the same. I don't know. The Deus Ex in the last issue felt weird as I had no idea what was going on. So I think that's why this person's saying fine, is they're coming to this from a fresh set of eyes. And that's let's be fair here. That is a perfectly acceptable viewpoint because every issue is somebody's first issue, right? So I think that's good. Now here's where you can tell they don't know the characters. The Megatron turning into a gun thing felt weird AF. Might have been cooler in an animated show. The whole gimmick really hampered the reading experience. No, it didn't. That's what Megatron is. He's a big gun. So this is an outside perspective. I think they're wrong. Okay. The human characters were fine, but I liked them more in the first 2 arcs. After that, they didn't resonate with me all that much. Looking forward to Kirkman in a different approach. Glad DWJ's run is over. Certainly not on par with his other way better comics like Better Ray Bill, Do a Powerbomb. So this person isn't really into it very much. But as I said, I think it's because they don't know the characters, they don't know the series, and that, as I said, is a valid perspective because we have to consider too, how do people that don't know Transformers relate to this? Because I think it's pretty obvious to say, correct me if I'm wrong, that Transformers fans are like, this is freaking awesome, right? And I think it's freaking awesome. What do you think? Is it freaking awesome or is it garbage? Next one I want to talk about is Batman and Robin 25, 268 ratings, 4.0 score, and I gave it an 8.4. I'm telling you, all the Batman titles, this is the one right now, in my opinion, the best one. Philip Kennedy Johnson's the writer, artist is Fico Osocio, whatever. With Memento's reign of terror at an end, well, I'm glad that storyline ended. Damian is more committed than ever, both as Robin and as a Wayne of Gotham. And I think that's why I like this. As I said earlier, I was never a fan of Damian Wayne. I could not stand that character. But over the years, I think DC has done a lot of showing character growth here. But when an unassuming hitman, known only as the Quiet Man, arrives in Gotham on a mysterious mission of revenge, one of Batman's deadliest enemies, thought to be dead, returns as well. Yeah, a brand new art team, first appearance of a brand new villain. Well, and a return of a fan favorite. So, really, I think this is a good starting point for you. If you were wondering, should I start reading Batman and Robin, and you haven't before, this is probably an issue to start reading on it if you want to get into this. We have Tiger Shark as he's trying to take over the Penguins' territory, and Batman interferes with that and busts that up. So that's cool. Batman has a moment of pride and time talking to his son, Damian, in this too. And I thought that was a really nice touch. I like the, and maybe it's because I'm a father. You know, the father and son dynamic means a lot to me. It's what I liked about Super Son, the Superman and his son and all that. I think that's why I disliked it when they aged him up and changed the character. We lost out on that character dynamic. You know, yes, we're men, and a lot of us here, most of my viewers are men. And if you're not, that's awesome too. We welcome you here. But we love to see characters punch other characters in the face and all that stuff. But some of us also like to see these character dynamics. And myself as a father, I love seeing that. The hero, the young hero, can I live up to the name? The father imparting knowledge and yet caring about the son and daughter and all that. It's great. The Quiet Man also makes a big entrance in this issue. So it was a good start. So good characterization, good art. I'm interested in the story so far. And if you are a Batman fan, I think you should check it out. Even if you don't like Damian, you might be a, Damian hater. I get it. I really do get it on that one. But you still, I think there's a lot to like in this series. And it seems like others do too. This next one I want to talk about is Green Lantern Corps number 8, 164 score with a 3.3 mixed rating, and I gave the book a 7.5. The writer is Jeremy Adams, writer also Morgan Hampton, and penciler Fernando Parsons. The book's got some interesting covers, nothing really fantastic there. Art-wise, it's okay. The Lanterns make a mad dash to beat the Sun Eaters to Oa, while the mysterious surrounding Kyle's glove become a dangerous threat to the Guardians. So anyway, I get it. I think this book is a bit convoluted right now. They got to be a little careful here. The GL Corps is bringing the fight to the Stormbreakers and their core. And in this issue, we have, there's just a lot going on. And one of the things, too, is Nathan, he's trying to make up for his mistakes, because, the breakup, he didn't handle it well. Came Sorrow, or whatever his name was. I think it was Sorrow. And I don't think they give us enough time with this character to really flesh him out to get us through this story progression in the first place. And that might be one of the problems. It's odd to say, the story might actually be going too fast, right? That's different than what we usually say. So the main story, the big arc, sort of ends here. But there's a new one that's spinning off of it. And we get Krona is coming back. This book has decent art. But really, I think, as I was saying, the conclusion of that story arc could have been better. I think it was maybe we didn't get to know the villain enough to understand. So if you're a fan, though, of Green Lantern, that character is Sorrow, by the way, Nathan Broom, we had Star Sapphire in this. We had all kinds of characters in there. We had the Starbreaker, we had Sinestro. We had, a good group, and that makes, got Guy Gardner an interesting couple panels too, I might say. So if you like all these Green Lanterns, it's still a book to continue, I think I'm getting. But let's look at what some other people say, because this one, as I said, has some really differences in opinions, and this person gave it a 2-star review. I meant to read this yesterday, but other issues kind of captured my attention for yesterday. So I decided to make it the first thing I read, getting up this morning, and wow, what a catastrophic, awful issue to end this arc with. I was generally loving this arc. I thought bringing emotional entities back to combat and anti-emotion lantern was a great move. The Razor and Aunt stuff are incredibly close to my heart. I love those two so much. Yeah, probably if you watched that Green Lantern series on TV, I could definitely get that. But as much as I like the arc overall, this issue kind of takes a crap all over the arc as a whole with some truly laughable bad decisions. I like the moment at the start of the issue where Nathan starts to realize, wait, emotions, even including sorrow, are part of life, and that balance is needed. And then, because apparently that self-realization wasn't enough for him, apparently, to see Hal and Carol and think about how much they love each other and how, of course, she wants to be with Hal over him. And this is giving as his motivation for walking into the anti-emotion battery and detonating it like a bomb, presumably killing himself. And there I can get. Because as I said, we didn't really get much of an arc with this character to lead up to caring about this character in any way, to see, he might have sacrificed himself. So we lost that. There's also the fact that he brought back emotional entities and hyped it up as a big dramatic thing, only to then turn around and kill every single one of them 2 issues later. What exactly was the point, you may ask? Well, he needed a cool climactic action scene, of course, and then rather than deal with the actual ramifications of the entities being brought back from the source wall, let's just nuke them all when the battery goes boom. Huh. Who wanted an actual interesting story about what's going to happen to the entities anyway? We don't have time for what we got to get into the next big villain reveal. I didn't care about those entities personally, though, so that part didn't bug me. Did you like those entities a lot? And the next big reveal might be the worst part of the whole issue, because apparently Simon Baz is now possessed by Krona. And maybe I've missed something, and Krona's been used since I last saw him, but Jeff Johns and Peter Milligan did great work with Krona for Green Lantern and Red Lanterns respectively. He was very effectively used characters who got his moment in the sun and then was put to rest with dignity. And bringing him back for what seems to be a budget Parallax, okay, so he's saying a knockoff Parallax arc, is already questionable as is, but turning Simon Baz into a mechanical supervillain feels like an incredibly, repeated the word twice, I guess, loaded decision to say the least. So he's probably a Simon Baz fan that doesn't really care for that change. Okay, fair enough. I've had many issues with Jeremy's writing here and throughout the ongoing series, but I generally was really enjoying this arc. To see it fall to absolute pieces right at the very last second is severely disheartening. I'm at least happy that McKay's Nova one-shot Marvel's Imperial came out yesterday so I can get a good fix for a well-written cosmic issue with a character I love. But man, if the next issue doesn't do some big work to make up for this, it might generally be where I have to leave the run. So while I don't completely agree with this person, I can see some of the reasonings behind it. There is a very big mix of 3 stars here, a lot of middling 3s. Here's a 2-star. Sorry, having Sorrow have an enlightenment moment at the very end is utter rubbish. What an anticlimactic end to the seemingly large-scale war.
It should have been a focus on how each lantern harnessed their entities to maneuver in the war. I tend to agree with that. That's why I said it just seemed like it was too fast, too rushed, boom, done, no real development here. So that's I could see a lot of similarities here. But let's look at somebody who gave it a 4-star. The fight was cool. The results of the fight were not at all what I expected, to be honest. The ending sets up something that isn't even going on with the store. I think they meant story, or should matter in the current story. But what can you do? Well, this is common for comic books. They have to start the next story as the other one's ending to move into it. Otherwise, the next whole issue will all be a setup issue. So this is sort of a prelude to make you go, oh, something's coming. Better get the next issue. Because otherwise, let's look at this from a comic shop perspective. Let's say you write a comic book story arc and it didn't really do it for you. You get through saying, it was okay. Now, do you continue reading the series? Do you move on? Or do you go, you know what, I think I'm going to wait until a new team comes on or whatever and pass on this. I think that's what was potentially happening here. I had a similar thing with The Flash. The Flash was phenomenal. I was enjoying The Flash, and the new creative team got all crazy into stuff that I did not do it for me. I thought it was a bore. It was a convoluted mess. And so I finished up that story arc. And when the next story arc came, I was like, I'm out. I'll wait till, the book, in my opinion, gets better again. So that says one more to finish it up. Nothing burger issue. 2 stars. Orange Lantern, potential completely wasted, as expected. Woo, that was brutal. So as you see, this book really has it all. 1-star reviews, 3-star reviews, 5-star reviews. It is a mixed bag, and I get it. I'm a little bit mixed on this as well. I definitely thought there was a lot of missed opportunity here. What are your thoughts on that? I'd like to know. I did not get to read every comic book I planned to yet at this time. I still want to read that new Punisher one and the Undead Iron Fist to see if they're worth anything. I plan on reading those hopefully this week, but life has been really, really busy. But thank you all. If you don't mind, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that dumb stuff, right? But no, what I really want is the conversation. I want to hear what your thoughts are on this stuff. That's the interesting thing to me. We need some joy right now, don't we? We need something to get us away from reality a little bit. But I'm sad to say I'm going to take you back into it. But plus somebody. Remember, we're only here for a short period of time. And what we say matters. What we do matters. And if we disagree, that's okay. So everybody, take care until next time. Keep it cool.